Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another video. So today we have a bit of an unexpected update, because Emilia Clarke was speaking with Ben Mendelsohn in a brand new interview for IMDb, and she was asked if she'd be interested in returning as Qi'ra for Star Wars, if she'd ever want to reprise a Star Wars character, and her response has gotten fans talking. This is not the first time she's been asked this, but in the past, she's given a more definitive answer, usually leaning towards no, but this time, IMDb edited it out. They kind of cut it very short, before Ben Mendelsohn, who plays Orson Krennic, fingers crossed he appears in Andor, chimes in, and he takes the focus away. But before it cuts out, she responds with a very uncertain, very much playing coy,
"Well, you know what?
Let me take this question.
I'm in Marvel now, I'm not allowed."
So I reckon in between all of that, there was something she said that she wasn't allowed to, and maybe they edited it out. But even if this is not edited, this is not the response of someone who doesn't know. I think she knows something that she can't say. Not gonna lie to you guys, I think the return of Qi'ra is imminent. Now, in regards to the character of Qi'ra, I've made it no secret on my channel, I'm a big fan. I think the crime syndicates are so fascinating, and I was so gutted they didn't do anything with her in the Book of Boba Fett. Now, at the time, in 2021, her story in the comics was not done, so there was uncertainty if she survived beyond episode 6. Was she gonna survive her comics, the trilogy which was War of the Bounty Hunters, Crimson Reign and the Hidden Empire, between the events of The Empire Strikes Back and episode 6 Return of the Jedi? But now the comic trilogy is done, we have a definitive answer. Guys, she survived. That's right at the end of the comics, after she sacrifices a lot of Crimson Dawn, after she disappears and goes away, the archivists think she's dead. She basically tried to stop the Sith, and in many ways, helped Luke and Leia, who also appear in the final issue. She basically helped to prevent one of Palpatine's contingencies, just one of them, but it was very important. And so right at the end, they jump forward to the galaxy's reaction after the Battle of Endor, just like we saw in the Mandalorian Season 2 flashback, where Cobb Vanth hears the news about the explosion of the second Death Star. Qi'ra is also in a similar bar, and she gets the news. She's undercover, and they tease that there's more to her story. She leaves a message to the young girl who she thinks should be the leader of her syndicate, but she herself disappears, and we don't know what's next, and Lucasfilm have ambiguously left that open. Now, in the past I said because she's going to appear in the comics, she's probably going to die, or maybe she's just resigned to them. There's also an upcoming book about Qi'ra. We might see her in Star Wars Outlaws, but I think I might have been wrong when I said she's just going to be resigned to those mediums, because letting her survive opens up a whole host of possibilities for her to appear in Skeleton Crew, The Mandalorian Season 4, Ahsoka, and other visual content post Return of the Jedi. I don't think Emilia's done, not to mention the Lando show. I would love to see Qi'ra in that. In fact, it makes perfect sense. But the very fact that Lucasfilm made Qi'ra survive those events, the fact they ended the comic trilogy with her surviving is huge, because now the question is, what did she do next? She clearly had no more interest in Crimson Dawn. She makes it very clear in that final hologram she was done with it, she didn't like that life. So is she now just a regular citizen, or back to being a smuggler? Is she gonna go try and find Han Solo? Luke and Leia say they want to meet her to thank her, so is there a redemption arc where she works within the Republic? Or is she gonna start a new movement, a new syndicate of sorts? I really don't know what they're gonna go for and what their plans are with her, but when you factor in some of the content coming up, and the fact Emilia Clarke didn't want to say for certain in the interview and gave a very wishy-washy answer, I think this indicates something bigger. Does she know something? I'm gonna say the answer is yes. So for those of you out there who love Solo a Star Wars story, or maybe you didn't and you just enjoy the character of Qi'ra like I do, well then there's hope. During the time of the Book of Boba Fett, a lot of fans noticed the Crimson Dawn theme from Solo a Star Wars story can be heard in the Boba Fett credits. This was obviously just a coincidence. She obviously didn't appear, but I don't think that's going to be forever. I can see many ways they could integrate Qi'ra into the Mando-verse, and maybe it needs something like that, if of course she's going to remain a villain. If Boba Fett is going to appear in the Mandalorian Season 4, then so too could a new threat in the form of Qi'ra and what she's up to now. Bear in mind that at one point she was a more loyalist. I wouldn't be surprised if after Crimson Dawn she went the solo route and amassed a lot of power for herself, or maybe caught the interest of Thrawn. And keep in mind, Jonathan Kasdan asked Jon Favreau to put Qi'ra in The Mandalorian. He didn't do this for Season 3, but the request was made when Jon Favreau was writing Season 4, so we really can't rule out anything. And given Kasdan suffered a major blow with Willow being removed from Disney Plus and Season 2 cancelled, he's taken a big L, it's time for a win, so maybe Jon and Dave will use his ideas and incorporate Qi'ra into the Mando-verse. Just a crazy theory, but it might work with the story, and I like the idea of Star Wars being an interconnected universe, especially in The Mandalorian, Bo-Katan, Luke Skywalker, Ahsoka, Boba Fett. That would be the perfect show to bring that in, and Qi'ra had a big impact on the Star Wars fandom after 2018. Some fans are done with Solo, some fans are done with those characters, and they don't want anything more to do with them. What do you guys think? Share your thoughts in the comments down below. So staying on the subject of the Mandalorian universe, we have a new tease for Skeleton Crew by Jude Law and Chris Ford. This is from entertainmentweekly.com, and this is what they said. There are a slew of new Star Wars series on tap for Disney+, but while Ahsoka promises to pick up where Star Wars Rebels left off, and the Acolytes will take audiences on a martial arts-infused trip back to the waning days of the High Republic, many fans aren't quite sure what to expect from a third upcoming series, Star Wars Skeleton Crew. This is a very good way of putting it, by the way. They keep using words like Amblin, we've heard about the influence of Stranger Things, E.T., The Goonies, but apart from those who saw the celebration footage, we can't conceptualize in our minds what the real hook is just yet. They haven't given us enough. They say the entry from John Watts and Chris Ford has been billed as a story about a group of kids about 10 years old from a tiny little planet who accidentally get lost in the Star Wars galaxy, and it's the story of their journey trying to find their way back home. So if we jump forward a bit, because this is stuff we've talked about before, Chris Ford says, Skeleton Crew's tone is an adventure. We wanted it to be a lot of fun, but of course with adventure comes the downside of it, which is danger, and when the kids are in danger it's extra fraught, so we played with that. But overall, we wanted it to be a fun adventure. But they then say this, they want fans to know it's not just for younger audiences, it's for everyone. Ford says, hopefully it can be for all ages. When we told Kathleen Kennedy we wanted to go for that Amblin tone, which she perfected over the years, what she would say is that she never thought of those as movies for kids. They just happen to be about kids, a story of a kid going on an adventure. So it could be for anyone. And this is something Kathleen Kennedy really understands, because when it comes to being the president of Lucasfilm, while we know what the majority of the fandom thinks, we know a lot of fans think she should go, they don't think she's right as the CEO of Lucasfilm, but on the other hand she's praised as a producer of a lot of things, Jurassic Park, E.T., Back to the Future, Indiana Jones, the list goes on, so she is decorated in that sense, and that is something I think a lot of fans separate from the work she's done on Star Wars. And then EW.com say, one of the great things about Jude Law being involved in this show, being the lead of this show, is that he himself is a huge Star Wars fan, and has been since he was a kid. And Jude Law in this interview credits getting into his current profession as an actor, as due to playing out scenes from Star Wars as a kid, he says he would pretend to be Luke or Han, Chewie or Darth Vader. So that's really exciting to get someone who cares about Star Wars so much in a Star Wars show, because sure, he's an A-list actor, he's been in a lot of things, but at the same time, when they announced he was going to be the lead in a Star Wars show, Star Wars fan or not, I didn't have any issue with that. He seems perfect as the role of a teacher in Star Wars. But what do you guys think? Share your thoughts on this and everything we spoke about in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. May the Force be with you, always.